Hey, welcome everybody to the Gen 224 Marriage Podcast. We are Larry and Sue Pruitt, and we are here to help married entrepreneurs build the business of their dreams.
Without wrecking their marriage.
Yes, both are very important.
Very important. Absolutely.
And this is episode number 16 of our podcast.
16 or 15?
It's 16.
Oh, wow.
16. But this is kind of a special one because it's the first one we've done with video as well. So now we'll be able to expand out to other platforms.
Yes. And that's very exciting for us to be able to do that.
Absolutely. So with that in mind, we thought there's going to be a new audience seeing this. And so maybe we would just give a little bit of a background and just kind of introduce ourselves a little bit, who we are and why we are doing this podcast.
Yeah. So as he said, we're Larry and Sue Pruitt. Names are the first thing you feel like you need to say when you're introducing yourself. But we have been full-time entrepreneurs for 12 years.
Yes.
We have been married for 35 years. We have raised 5 kids. And we have taught other people how to grow their e-commerce business as we have grown ours.
Yes.
So that's kind of our background.
And we've taught on marriage quite a bit in the past as well. And so we're kind of merging a lot of things together here.
Absolutely.
And I think a big part of it also is just that we have this heart for married couples, and we have this heart for entrepreneurs.
Yes.
And whenever you put that together, then you've got a really special group of people there.
Absolutely. And because we've been living that life for quite a while, we feel like we have something to say and some help to offer. And we have been able to do that for others. And we look forward to doing it for more people in the future.
Yeah. I mean, just kind of thinking about this a little bit, like entrepreneurs are interesting people sometimes. And I say that always, yes. And I hesitated there, and I'm afraid that people are going to think that I think entrepreneurs are weird. And I'm not meaning that.
No,
right? We're
not. I mean,
maybe we're a little bit.
We're a little weird, but not most entrepreneurs aren't. So
it's unique because entrepreneurs have to have just, I don't know, some guts. They have to have this passion, this desire.
It takes a lot of courage to start a business and to pursue success in that business.
Yeah. And we just recently passed the 12-year mark of us doing this business full time. And our business has taken on different looks, and it's taken on a lot different look here recently. A lot of pivoting, a lot of adjusting. But
honestly, that's what I'm just going to interrupt you for a second, because that's one of the things that's really kind of fun about being an entrepreneur is when you want to make a change, you don't need to ask permission from somebody else. You get to just do it. That's what we're doing now.
Yeah. And you don't get any changes really forced on you. I shouldn't say that, because whenever you sell on big platforms, for example, and they make a change, that change is forced on you. But as far as the actual business structure and the way we run it, nobody's telling us how to run this business. And that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And what I was getting ready to say, though, is there are moments where I miss that regular paycheck that we used to have.
Well, if we could have the regular paycheck and have all the freedoms that we now enjoy, it might be tempting. But honestly, I get tempted for about 3 seconds. Yeah. And then I'm like, nope, don't want it.
That is, in general, that is the trade-off that you take as being an entrepreneur, is that you buy yourself the time freedom and decision-making freedom.
Right.
And then hopefully the financial freedom comes as well later, because at the job, you're beholden to somebody else, how much they're going to pay you. Are they going to give you a raise this year or not? And with entrepreneurship, it's not that we have to work harder to earn more. It's just that we have to create a better business in order to generate more income.
One of the things I find really exciting about entrepreneurship is you are rewarded according to how much you're able to help other people. Yeah. And so that's another thing about entrepreneurs is, generally speaking, they have a heart to help other people in one way or another.
Right. Yeah.
They're offering a service or a product or what have you. And that is, that's something that just, it endears entrepreneurs to our hearts. And of course, we are entrepreneurs. That's how we see ourselves, is that we want to serve other people and do it well. And that's very exciting to do that.
And it's interesting, because I definitely worked my way into or developed into becoming an entrepreneur.
Hmm.
I think you had more the instinct because your dad has been an
Well,
entrepreneur.
that's true. I was raised in a home where my
Yeah.
dad was an entrepreneur, and so I saw it up close
Yeah.
a lot as I
Mhm.
was growing up and everything. And although I wouldn't have said I had that bent until
Right.
we decided to take the plunge, really, but yes, there are some things
Yeah.
that have kind of, I guess, made sense to me or come to me naturally because I was exposed to that growing up.
And me, on the other hand, whenever I would go to those like career testing things, like they'd have you take this analysis and what kind of career would be best for you and such like that. Entrepreneurship, seriously, it was like zero. It was like the people administering the test were like, just do not do it.
Don't ever do this.
And but our personalities change over the years,
Absolutely.
and
That was a long time ago.
that was a long time ago, way back when I was in the 20s, in my 20s, back in the 20s,
In
in the
20.
1920s.
No.
But yeah, so that's kind of fun to see. Like, um, a big part of the reason why I was not a good fit was because of my need for that security and that regular paycheck.
Mhm,
And honestly, you just learn to trust the Lord over the years.
mhm.
And the reality is that, I kind of, I love telling the story, and I may have said it on the podcast earlier, but like the first professional job that I had, that business, they like the building, they tore down the
Yeah.
building and it's a parking lot now, a parking garage. And then the second one that I had, they tore down that building and it's just like a grassy field now.
Mhm.
And then the third one, it's an empty building.
Yes.
And I'm like, are they going to tear that one down too?
So that supposed security of a
Right.
steady paycheck,
Yes,
even if you had stayed at one of those places, you wouldn't be there anymore.
that's right. Thank you for bringing it back to the point I was trying to make there. So we have a heart for entrepreneurs, and then we also have just a heart for married couples,
Mhm.
and to see not just people surviving, right?
No, marriage is not meant just for survival. It is meant for thriving. Have you ever read the story of the first marriage in the Bible? I mean, my goodness, when Eve was presented to Adam, we kind of read it like, have you ever heard somebody read, "This is now bone of my bone"? And I mean, what he was doing was like, wow, that's what he was saying,
And he said, finally.
Yes.
And because he had seen all of those animals that God had him name, and there was not found a suitable helper for him.
Yes.
And then whenever he saw Eve, it was just like, wow, all of my life I've been searching
Yes.
for you.
Yes,
For
exactly.
that entire day.
It had not been a long life, but yes, he had been searching for his mate, and God brought her to him. So,
God performed the first wedding ceremony.
exactly.
Yes.
And so, you notice that the name of our podcast is Gen 224 Marriage. That's where the name of our
Right.
podcast comes
Right.
from.
From Genesis chapter 2, verse 24, that says, therefore a man shall leave his mother and father and hold fast to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh.
Mhm.
So that is just foundational to everything that we believe, everything that we apply to our marriage, to our relationship, to our teaching.
Mhm. Mhm.
Because in that one verse, there's just a lot there. And we've gone into that in the past. I'm sure we'll do it again
Yeah.
in the future, but I don't think we'll necessarily go that deep on that verse today. But that's
Mhm.
the foundation for the name of this organization.
Absolutely. And so I think we've already mentioned that we've walked quite a path as entrepreneurs.
Yes.
We've run a business. We've taught other people how to build a business. We've worked with married couples. We've worked with new entrepreneurs and seasoned entrepreneurs, and
Yeah.
have found it thrilling and exhilarating. I mean, I think we've alluded to it already, but we really think that entrepreneurs are just kind of the heroes of today.
Yeah.
They are the ones who are taking the risk, taking the chances, putting themselves out there, and getting rewarded for it. And that's very
Yeah.
exciting to us.
And everybody, we know the big name corporations, and we see their commercials, and they're spending all kinds of money on promoting their brand and such. But the reality is, I think the last number I heard was something like 80% of all employees work for small businesses.
Mm-hmm.
And so really small business and entrepreneurs are just such a backbone, foundational for our economy, for our country. And so, yeah, we absolutely see entrepreneurs as heroes that need some help sometimes,
Absolutely.
because we're not just all born naturally doing this. And we've just made all the mistakes and learned all
Maybe
the
not
lessons.
all, but a lot.
I'm sure there's more to come. I'm afraid that there's more mistakes that we're going to be making, but we've learned a lot over the years, and it's just a lot of fun to work with people and to see the light bulbs go on.
Absolutely,
So.
absolutely. And to help them, build the business that they've been dreaming about.
Yes,
We want to
right.
help people build that business that they've been dreaming about. So find the success that they are desiring, and at the same time, not wrecking their marriage.
Yeah, we've seen that concern, that
Yes.
fear
Mhm.
that couples have, and it makes sense, because anytime you put an extra level of stress like business ownership on top of just your regular everyday life that we all deal with, then there are extra challenges.
Mhm.
And there are things that I think a good way to say it is like, man, I wish we would have known that
Yeah.
going
Mhm.
in, and
Mhm.
just lessons that we've learned that now we can pass along.
Yeah. Mhm.
And we've got
Mhm.
just a handful of examples that we were going to talk about here today.
Yeah, absolutely. So, one of the things that we help couples with is knowing what roles each of you should
Yes,
play in the business.
so
That
crucial.
that's a really important thing. I think that is maybe a little bit of some of the fear, but we help couples determine what is each individual's strengths and how can you use that to maximize the success of your business. And knowing what role you're playing, and sometimes we kind of take off the hat, one hat, okay, we're doing business right now,
Yes.
and the next hat, okay, now I'm your wife.
So kind of some boundaries
Yeah.
there as
Mhm.
well, and just getting clear on that of how we communicate with each other, so that sometimes we'll even say like, hey, I'm switching gears here right
Yeah.
now.
Mhm. Yeah.
And so, yeah, the Bible has very clear roles for us within the home.
Yes.
All right. And so we can study that and learn that. And it's not that it's always easy to do those things, but
No.
at least we've got some clear information that we can go through.
Mhm.
But, there's really not a list of clear roles for business owners, for entrepreneurs.
No, and the other thing that we've seen is sometimes couples will try to take those biblical roles for marriage and
Correct.
apply it to their roles in the business, and that's not necessarily the best thing for your business or for your marriage,
Right.
frankly.
Well, they
And
try to apply it in all areas of life.
exactly.
And it really is designed within the sphere of the home.
Mhm.
And then there's other, roles and such within like the church, for example, and within society.
Yeah.
But there's it doesn't mean what scripture says that has to be applied to every area of our
Right.
lives. And
Mhm.
so that's part of what we kind
Yeah.
of walk people through there.
Right. So, in fact, there's one couple that we know that works together very, very well,
Mhm.
and they have a really solid marriage.
Yes.
And at home, husband's definitely the head. He takes care of the family well. They order themselves according to what Scripture says. When it comes to the business, she has more of a business mind in many of the areas, and so she really takes the lead and the head role, if you will, in the business.
Yeah.
And they work it, and it works very well for them.
Yeah.
And they're
he's
not
very-
doing nothing wrong.
Right. And he's very involved in the business for
Yes.
sure.
Hmm.
And so that's the other thing with this. Sometimes in a relationship, you may have one, the husband or the wife who is just really running the business, and the spouse is just supportive. I should say just. That's super crucial. Is very supportive. And then there's other varying degrees all the way up to 50-50 is kind of how we do things. But there are components of our business that you are 100% in charge of.
Yes.
And even times where you'll ask me questions and I'm like, I'm fine. Whatever you
Yeah,
whatever you
right.
want to do, you're in charge of that. Now, if you're looking for feedback, obviously,
Right. Right.
that's wise to do that at times, that we ask for feedback, even though we've got our sphere of control, so to speak. But so there's a lot of ways to do it, I think, is what
Yes.
we're trying to say here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then another thing that we've helped a lot of couples do, because we were in this boat, they're working their business really kind of as a side hustle or a side gig to the day job, but they have a dream to make that their full-time thing.
Yeah.
And so we help them set some parameters, a lot around finances, but other things too, and prepare yourselves, your finances, your family, and your home for you to be able to come home and work the business full time. And so as we work with couples, we help them set those parameters so they recognize, oh, now's the time to take the leap.
Right. And we had about 8 years of doing the business as a side gig.
Mm-hmm.
And that was pretty much me doing it at that stage
Yes.
because of the season of life and with the young kids at home and such. And so I was doing that. You were obviously very supportive, and that was
Mm-hmm.
encouraging and helpful for me. And then whenever we went full time, though, at it, like right before we went full time, you went deep into the business.
Yes.
They were really running the
Mm-hmm.
whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not necessarily how everybody has to do it, but we've just seen a lot of examples of either people waiting too long
Yes.
or
Mm-hmm.
people jumping too early.
Mm-hmm.
And either one can, can stunt the growth of the business or cause significant problems.
Mm-hmm. Cause some strife. And that's where we run into sometimes people that we meet feel that they're in the boat of this business is killing our marriage.
Yeah,
because
right.
we've not navigated everything as well as we could. And that's one of the things that we can show couples how to do so that that doesn't happen to them.
And we definitely, we also see people saying or thinking, and maybe they'll say it, but we kind of catch on to I think this is what they're implying, is that at some point there's a decision that has to be made.
Yes.
Am I going to choose the business or the marriage?
Mm-hmm.
And oh goodness, yeah, your reaction there, it's that breaks our hearts, because not only should you have both, you should, the marriage is 100% always the priority, right?
Mm-hmm.
If the business fails, we'll figure something else out.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But if the marriage fails, it's devastating, and it has that ripple effect throughout
Well,
many people.
We alluded to this earlier. In business, you can jump around and do different businesses.
Yes.
In marriage, you're together.
Right. Right.
You're with each other for life.
It's
and
designed
so
for life.
Yeah.
And so we don't want to see couples who have to make that decision, that we don't want them to think that they have to make that kind of a
Yes.
decision,
Right.
but get to the point where we can help them to understand that the marriage absolutely benefits the business.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
It's foundational to all of our relationships. And whenever that marriage is solid and when things are strong, it just frees you up to be creative and to do things that will grow that business.
And when you face challenges in the business, it doesn't feel like it's going to destroy your relationship.
Yes. And just one other thing on this point that I do want to say is that for anybody who has had a business and you're full-time at it now, what we teach here, it really helps you to kind of go back and fill in any gaps maybe that you missed along the way. And again, we did a lot of the things that we teach, but there's a lot that we're teaching we should have done that.
Right.
And we were able to go back and fill in those gaps along the way. So this is to help people figure out when to take the leap, or if you've already taken the leap, how to kind of go back and get things solidified so that you've got that strong foundation, both relationally, financially, a lot of different areas.
Absolutely. And so we've talked about that we have run business ourselves, that we've taught other people how to run the business. We've been coaches in that world for, what did we decide, 8 years now?
I think 8 years, yeah.
8 years.
Hundreds of students along the way.
Yeah, at least hundreds of students.
Yeah.
Well over 1,000
Yes.
students that we have worked with. And so recently we have stepped away from doing that coaching, and it has freed up quite a bit of time for us.
Right.
And so we are really excited to be making a special offer today. Do you want to tell them about it?
Sure.
Okay, good.
So what we are offering is to do one free coaching session with any entrepreneurial couple. So if this is something where you're just I'm a little bit interested to hear more information about this, about what we're doing, this would be a great opportunity for you to do this, but this is not, I want to make sure that we're clear. This is not like we're going to be trying to get a hold of you and just do this hard sales pitch or anything like that. This is to serve you and to help you, no matter what stage you're at with your business. We'll find out a little bit more about what's going on, and any way that we can help with suggestions or tools that we have. We're going to provide that as best we can. And we would just love to have that opportunity to serve you in this way.
Yeah, absolutely. And so if you have been exploring the idea of entrepreneurship at all, or exploring the idea of taking it full time, or need to solidify your foundation as a full-time entrepreneur, we encourage you. We'll put the link in the comments.
Yes.
Or in the description, I think is what we say.
Show notes, I think is the official way
It's
to
our
say it.
first time on YouTube, so I don't know all the lingo yet, but so we'll put that information in, and just get on our calendar, and we would love to chat with you for an hour and give you that coaching that you might need that can help a little bit.
So just a couple of questions maybe to ask you here as we're kind of wrapping up, but do you have a dream for your business? Do you have a dream that you want to achieve? And do you want to do it
without wrecking your marriage?
Without wrecking your marriage, making sure that your relationship is strong. That is the area where we are confident that we can help and we can serve you. If you're thinking that doesn't really fit me necessarily, maybe somebody else just popped into your mind, and you can grab that link and you can send that to them and encourage them to get on our calendar as well. Anything else?
I don't think so. I think that's it.
All right. Well, we have enjoyed this time together. We hope that it's been encouraging to you. And we really do want to encourage you as a married couple to continue to live as one flesh today,
tomorrow,
and
forever.
Take care.
See ya.